things you must do first, phases. So why do we need to do phases? Why do we need to think about phases? What are phases? So that's really what we're going to talk about. Now, I'll state right from the beginning that it's not our intent to explore phases in depth in this essentials class, but you need to be aware of them right from the beginning, and I'll show you why. Let's go into our project browser and let's go to top of floor 1 or level 1 or whatever you're in your Revit, really just a floor plan. So I go into this view here, and how can I tell that there's phases? I can't. But if I just click over in the properties palette, so I'm going to click in the white space and then click in the properties palette and drop that down. Notice this at the very bottom. It says phasing. Phasing filter, show all, and then phase new construction. So this is saying that anything that I start to draw, so let's go to Home tab. We'll go to the Wall tool in the Home tab, click there, click here. As soon as I start drawing this wall, I'm going to hit Escape twice. Let's go to the properties of that wall. So we click on the wall, go into the Properties palette, and just drop that right down to the bottom. Notice this, phase created, new construction, phase demolished, none. So what's happening here is we're working with phases even though we don't even know it. So every time you open Revit and you start working, you're working in a phase called new construction. That can cause issues down the road if you decide to change your phases. Maybe you decide, oh, we want to phase this. We want to phase existing. We want to phase demolished. We want to phase 1. We want to phase 2. These are things that down the road are very difficult to implement once the building has been done. So let's do a little primer on them, and then we can come back again later and go in depth on phases, and we'll do a full-out project with that. So if I go to Manage, then I'm going to go to Phasing. Your screen resolution might display this a little bit differently in the ribbon, but we'll notice that phasing is right here. Well, what's that? It looks like a nice tool, nice mallet. That's the demolish tool, and that can demolish things in a current phase. But let's take a look at this. This is really the key. Click on Phases, and you come into this Phases Overall dialog box. You've got the past, you've got the future, and then you've got your phasing. So existing, and then new construction. Now, we did say this was going to be an addition that we're working on. So technically, we should be drawing the main part of the building as existing and then making phases for the new ones. But during the essentials, it's important for us to learn the overall tool set before we start implementing these controls. Now, it's still good to know about this though. So what we'll do is we'll insert more phases. See, I'm putting them after existing. Now, what I can do is take new construction and just combine that. Just click on new construction, and I could combine that with previous. So everything that was in new construction is now on phase 3. So this is a way to implement phasing into your project. It's widely used. Now, that's the first part. You set it up. I'll just say OK to that. We'll notice here now, if I go into my properties of my view, it doesn't say under phase new construction, it says phase 3 because we combined that. What if I were to just drop that list down and choose phase 1? Notice what happens? Things disappear because they're no longer pertain to that particular phase. Now, I'm going to undo that. Let's take a look at this wall. I'm going to click on that wall. And let's look at under its properties in the properties palette. Under phasing, you've got phase created and then phase demolished. So I could say this is created in existing and then demolished under phase 3. Then I'll click on the apply button. And you might notice if I just zoom in, it changed from being a solid line to being a dashed line. So there are some view controls. There's some really important techniques we need to learn on how to use phases, but that'll be later as we go. For now, there are phases, and that if you are going to set up a project using phases, you'll need to do that right from the beginning. Okay, so let's set this back the way it was. I'm going to go up into my quick access toolbar, drop that list down, and I'm going to scroll down right down to wall line. And now it's undone all of those phasing settings that I set. So if I just go back into phasing, click on phases, you can see I'm back to existing and new construction. We will draw everything in this course on new construction.